you never want to make your craft have to pay for your lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to, I got to book this job. If I don't book this job, I don't pay rent this month. And that's a desperation place to be.
And it's like a burden.
Yeah. Why would you go into a space expecting to be creative and you're intense because you got to pay rent? So I figure go have it. There's no shame in having a job. And I want people to tell me, I'm going to quit my job and act full time. I said, well, then when you go back to work next week, what are you going to do then? You know what I'm saying? Because we have to have this mindset that there's no shame in doing other things, multiple things, you know?
Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Get Scene Unscripted, and I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. Get ready for a powerful episode, but before we do, if you haven't subscribed, you got to do it now, my friends. But if this is your first episode, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. There's so much content out there, so I want you to know that it does not go unnoticed, that you are taking the time to spend it here with us at Get Scene. And I promise that we're going to do a great job to give you some tidbits, some ahas to help you on your journey. And I got a very powerful dude in the house. Actor, and I mean, so many other things, but we're going to get into it. Dwayne Boyd.
Hey, JJ, thanks for having me, man. Hey, it's a pleasure. Honor to be here, man.
Dude, it's so great to have you here, man. And I mean, I think I've known you pretty much the entire time I have been in Atlanta.
Yeah. Right when you got here, we met, man.
Yep.
You came out and hung out with us for a while, you know what I'm saying? So,
dude,
absolutely.
it's I mean, I just learned this in chatting with you. Your acting school, Actor Premier Network,
Premier Acting Network, Premier Actors Network.
Yeah, pardon me.
Yeah,
23 years.
23 years, yeah, man.
Bro,
you know, who would have thought,
dude? Can you tell me the moment you started it, like what gave you? Because I know we're gonna get into this even more, but like we know that as actors we got to be doing some other stuff, right?
Right, yeah.
Did you think that you would be doing it this long?
No.
Or when you started, when you started,
No.
it's just like, let's do this thing, right?
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things, man, where if somebody said you were a genius for starting this, I'd lie and say, yeah, I did. No, I did not know. I had no clue. Me and a buddy of mine, Eric Eddings, would go over his house. He had a group of actors coming over just working on scenes because this was before nothing was really here yet.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of those things where it's just, it's 2003. We're, getting extra work here. Maybe a commercial will come to town or a movie will come. And you do extra work, maybe you audition for a one-liner or something. So there was nothing here. But we felt like something was coming. Me and Eric would have this conversation, and I would go over to his house with some actor buddies that he knew, and we would just run lines on a Friday night and rehearse lines, critique each other or whatever. And it was a thing where I said, this needs to be ongoing. We should start a class. And he was like, I don't really know. I said, yeah, we should do it. Let's just try. And I'm a big dude. Let's just try something, see what sticks. And that's how Premier Actors Network got started. We ended up, we were in his house on Friday night, so we ended up going to find a space over at the Omega Sci-Fi Center in Decatur. Shout out to Miles King. He was a editor, so he had a suite in the back, and it was hot in there. And we would go in there, and it was a small room, and we'd be in there doing exercises, warmer exercises. We was already warm, so we was doing these little exercises and scenes.
I love it. How has it evolved in the 23 years? Like, how have you changed? And pivot is the big word that a lot of people like to use these days. How has it shifted throughout the years?
It's become a staple of the acting community in Atlanta. I'm grateful for that. A lot of my actors are just working and they're killing it right now. You got Patrick Walker who's on doc right now. He started at Pan. Andreen Hammond, she's working all the time, doing amazing stuff. I'm so proud of her. Jock McKissick, just a lot of actors are working. Mac Wells. So it's become this thing to where it kind of became a joke at one point. We were doing, because we do a showcase every year for our advanced and intermediate and our kids classes. And somebody said PanFam, #PanFam. And that became the thing here in Atlanta, where if you see another PanFam person, the Premier Actors Network is short for Pan, PanFam is short. And they say, hey, PanFam, they know exactly what you're talking about. So to see that kind of take shape and become this thing, man, it was amazing. So I'm so honored just to have this experience here in Atlanta and to be the person that started something so unique and so amazing.
Bro, you should. I don't know if you know this, but Alex White for the longest time would be like, Dwayne's place is like my secret place to go find really good people.
Yeah. He found Andreen there, man, and I saw him at a premiere not too long ago. He's like, hey, man, I need to come check you out. You know what I'm saying? I was like, come on,
Heck
so,
yeah,
that's
man.
my guy.
So what challenges came up that you had to like figure out? Because I think we need to come up with these other things, right? But we're not like trained in it. It's not like we went like in acting class or whatever. It's like, and also here's how you can make other money and do other things. Like, what were like some of the like biggest challenges you've had to overcome? Let's talk specifically with the studio at least throughout the 20 plus years. That like, what's one of the biggest struggles you were like, yo, I wasn't set up for this, but you had to figure it out?
I can tell you what, just finding a space was the hardest thing, man. That's always a challenge because, you know, places are pretty expensive. And there was a time, man, when I think Black Family Channel, I had came up under Robert Townsend, which was my mentor for a couple of years. And he had a space at the time that was, you know, he was using for his studio. And he said, hey, man, you can come teach your classes where I'm at. Because at the time, I didn't have anywhere to go. I had got, you know, my boy Miles had left his center, so we didn't have anywhere over there any longer. And I think I was doing some things over at downtown at Lithonia. I was in the courtroom teaching class. Yeah, it was crazy, man. I was figuring it out. You know, I was figuring it out.
You have to.
So we got put out of there. You know what I'm saying? And then Robert Townsend, I met him right on time. He was like, hey, man, come teach your classes over here. And that was just amazing. Because I met Robert Townsend at the time. I was really considering quitting. You know, I was really like, I don't know if it's for me, man. It's tough. It's, you know, and everybody gets to that low point, right? But I think that when you hit that moment, man, it's really testing to see if you really want to do this, and you got to figure out a way out. So I just say that, you know, he just kind of showed up at the right time for me. But, you know, the quit was not in me, but I was considering, like, I don't know about this. I can't keep finding spaces and stuff like that. So he came and just gave us a beautiful opportunity at the right time.
Bro, I know what you mean. I feel like probably so many people from the outside don't see the struggle that, because I mean, I know exactly what you mean by the space and finding the spaces and like, there's so much. I mean, for years and years, I was running Get Scene, making no money. Like I was like, well, I get to write this dinner off as a business expense. So I guess there's that, you know, but like so much sacrifice that I'm sure you've had to do throughout the 20 plus years to serve this awesome community, man.
You know, a lot of people don't realize I was a barber. So that allowed me to have that freedom to go and come. So I would cut hair from 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning to about 6 in the evening. Then I would leave the barbershop covered in hair and go teach a class somewhere.
Wow.
That was my thing for years, you know. And one thing Townsend used to say, he said, I'm on a night shift. And what that meant was we all have to figure out a job to pay our bills throughout the day while we pursue our dream when we're off. So that allowed me to have that freedom. I would go and shoot a Disney movie and come back and still have a job, you know, and be gone for 3 or 4 weeks or whatever and come back and still have a job. Might lose some clients, but, you know, at least I got somewhere I can, you know, still make some steady income. So
it's really, really important. And you have done, I've always admired that about you. I mean, since I've known you for the 10 plus years now, 12 plus years, I've always seen you do that and shooting headshots, running the school. I remember you and I booked, I think it was when we were both firemen in the Blue Cross Blue Shield.
That's right.
When you had first told me that like you were flipping houses. Yeah. And I was like, man, Dwayne is always doing stuff. And I always like, so how do you, well, first thing I'll say is, and you mentioned it a little bit, how important is it? Like if an actor is not doing some sort of other creative thing to make money, like, can you talk about how important that is and why?
I think it's important just to have other things going on in life. You know what I'm saying? Because life, you need to have a full life as an artist. You know, you can't just do one thing and that's it. You know, I think when I'm out with my boys and they want to talk about monologues, like, no, we're enjoying life. Let's have a moment here and just enjoy. So I think the pivot is a big thing. We talk a lot about that now. We hear that. But I think the main thing for me right now is just figuring out how to maintain a level of consistency with living and still being able to be an artist. And you never want to make your craft have to pay for your lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to, oh, I got to book this job. If I don't book this job, I don't pay rent this month. And that's a desperation place to be.
And it's like a burden.
Yeah. Why would you go into a space expecting to be creative and you're intense because you got to pay rent? So I figure there's no shame in having a job. And I want people to tell me, I'm gonna quit my job and act full time. I said, well, then when you go back to work next week, what are you gonna do then? You know what I'm saying? Because we have to have this mindset that there's no shame in doing other things, multiple things. You know, I remember when I had booked the movie role and I was at the barbershop cutting hair one day, and the guy walked in and I cut his hair and he went left, and he knew the girl I was dating at the time. His girlfriend called her and said, why is Dwayne still cutting hair? He's on TV. I said, listen, you know what I'm saying? People don't realize, you know, you get those checks, you better put them away because you don't know when the next gig is coming. So I've always had some level of understanding that in this business, you better have something else going on while you're pursuing your dreams.
Yeah, super important. And can you talk about the, I I guess like the financial stability or financial freedom. I don't know which one you want to call it, but I feel like you've been there for a long time.
Okay.
And can you talk about like how that frees you up as an artist?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that's one of the key factors is like when you can, for some reason, somehow, right? Casting can see the desperation. I don't know how they can see it, but they can. I hear about it all the time, right?
No, that's real.
So like, can you talk about how that's like maybe made you more successful, even though it like kind of has nothing to do with acting? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think for me, it just allowed me the power to say no to certain things. Like even if I have an audition, I feel like, this is not right for me, or this is not what I want to do, I could say no. And that's power in itself, I think. But also just not having to have that thing of, like I said earlier, booking this job to have to eat or figure this out. And I can honestly tell you that in the last few years, I've really allowed myself to just play and explore in that space and create my own opportunities and content and everything else. And that, to me, that's gave me some of that freedom of not having to feel like I have to book everything. Because I'm always celebrating with my students. But we have a moment in our class when we say any bookers auditions and people stand up and talk about what they book. And I'm really generally happy for that because I remember when I was just in that space of wanting to book. But now it's not as important as I used to think it was,
Yep.
So and there's freedom in that. There's freedom in letting go, not having to control everything, things you can't even control because you don't know who they're looking for, right? You audition, but you could be too tall, too short, too whatever. And knowing that has nothing to do with me freed me up, but also having other things going on, like other things financially, like flipping houses, doing headshots, doing workshops, or even now we're doing these online skits. Me and Mara Stewart, one of my mentees, we're doing these skits that really took off and really, started to play around with. And I'm just grateful. So yeah, everything I do now is creative and it allows me to have that freedom and flexibility to just go.
I think that you talk about everything that you do is creative, and I think that's like the key. And if for the listeners to like understand that like it doesn't have to be you booking a project.
Right.
Isn't the only way to be creative.
No.
And isn't the only way to like feel fulfilled and feel excited and grow and have progression in your life. There's so many other things. You just have to give yourself a chance to do it and grow within it.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, stop saying I'm trying to be an actor, I'm pursuing acting, or I'm starting out. You the minute you decide to do this and start taking class and take it serious, you're an actor already. These are the things that we have to. I think that so many people look at, well, if I'm not on HBO, I'm not an actor. I'm not this, and that's not true. The minute you decide and start to put in the work, and you're around the artists, you're creating, whether it's your own short films on the weekends or doing plays, you're already doing it. You're already a working actor. So I think we have to take the idea of making all this money away from that, because the business has done that for us right now. It's changed in so many ways. And I think that we're looking at a new model take shape, and that model is where people are creating their own opportunities and doing their things online and becoming successful that way.
Did you kind of always have this mindset, or like was there like a click? Because I remember there was a time, and I realized I didn't finish telling you this downstairs, but like there was a time with me and my buddies, it was like, all right, we're all doing our side jobs and we're doing, we're booking and stuff, but we're waiting for that project where we can quit the job that we have.
Right.
And every single person I saw do this got to a point where then they didn't have any money left. And then they needed to go get that side job again, as opposed to really embracing that side job. And then that big paycheck from the acting, instead of quitting, you just like stacked it.
Stacked that, yeah.
Was there a moment for you that you realized this, or for some reason you just kind of always knew it?
Back in 2009, me and a buddy of mine, Charles Sanders, wrote a movie called 4 Minutes. It was a romantic comedy we shot. We wrote it. We sat at Applebee's for about 6 weeks and wrote.
Really?
Yeah, Monday through Thursday, we would sit at Applebee's and just write.
That's awesome.
Right. So we wrote the project. We shot it in 15 days, $20,000, and it got attention. It got Rebecca Schrager, who was the owner at the time of People Store. I love Rebecca. She hit me. She says, "Hey, these people are calling you about your film 4 Minutes. It made it to the American Black Film Festival, which is the most prestigious Black film festival in the world." Shout out to Jeff Friday. And at that point, I said, okay, we got something. This might mean something, right? So we went down there. We didn't win. We were in the top four out of 600 films. We didn't win, but it got some attention. So I was able to have meetings in L.A. And Will Packer connected me with a lady named Amber Raspberry at the time, who was over at 34th Street Films, which was Tyler Perry's project, his film house. And it led to some meetings, and we got distribution for the project, but it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, I got to do this again and again and again. So you better have that mindset. This not one project is not going to make you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of times with actors, we think that this is our big break, and when it doesn't happen the way we think it should happen, we look at like, well, what am I supposed to do now? You know, you still have to have that job, you still have to do what you can. But I think for me, it was just about creating a business within the business. You know, and when people see you're generally trying to help them, there's nothing, there's no hidden strings in it. You're trying to help them for real. They'll embrace you. And the biggest word of mouth, the biggest form of advertising, is word of mouth. People start talking about, you know, the classes and who I was, you know, what I was doing over there, and who I am, and that's what sustained me all these years, man. Was just allowing to just be creative and just help other people on that journey.
Dude, I cannot agree more. And you mentioned your students booking and stuff. And I feel like over the last, I don't know, maybe like 5 years is like when it really hit me is like, yeah, if you can attach yourself, and it almost sounds selfish, but it really is a way of serving, right? When you can attach yourself to other people and truly want them to win, right?
Yeah.
And now their wins become your wins. Like that's when you really start winning.
And that's, I can tell you, I've heard so many people say great things about Get Scene because you were genuinely trying to help them, and they saw that. People know when you're not trying to, and when you are trying. So shout out to you, man, for doing your thing too.
Oh,
so,
thank you, dude.
absolutely.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
it's a community, man. Come on.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. But I think it's just so important for everyone to get out of that place of jealousy or envy, and it can be so easy in this business to fall into it because you're just like, oh God, I want that so bad. So now I maybe feel a little envious that you're doing it, but I'm not. But it's like, if I can really be happy for you, now instead of that envy, I'm like, well, Dwayne deserves it. Dwayne is crushing, and my time's coming too. Absolutely. I'll be right behind him, or sometimes we'll be together or whatever.
And we have worked on projects. I mean, we did the Home Depot thing together. That was fun. So so I think that I think for me, man, it's always been about celebrating other victories. You know, and I come from a place of maybe there's a thing where at times I felt like, well, that person was more deserving of that role for me, and I have to look back and say, you know what? That was a truth that I had to face and be okay with, you know, because when I saw people book certain things that maybe I auditioned for, I was like, well, I can see that. I can really see that, you know, and I had to be honest with myself. And not booking things sting a little bit, but you get on to the next one. There's always another audition, right?
Always another one. There's always another one.
Yeah, you're like, this is the one. This is it, you know, so.
Can you talk about a common denominator that you've seen within your students? Like, what's something that comes up a lot that actors need to hear?
You know, Chris Redding once told me, she came to Showcase one time, and she said, Dwayne, I like to see your actors. They get to come out and do a scene that's not too long, but then we get to see them improv as well, and get to see that they're flexible and they can do that freedom. And I think I do a lot of improv-based stuff, you know, a lot of that stuff. I'm a big fan of David Mamet, his teachings and his writings. And,
I like David Mamet.
Yeah, just
True
that freedom.
False.
Yeah,
go,
come on, man. Great book. I tell everybody to read that book.
Yep.
But yeah, so I try to imply that in everything we do because I want you to bring your true, authentic self to everything. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure out how to let Jesse or Dwayne show up in your performance. You know, Denzel is great because we like Denzel. So we're enough too. You know, so I think that everybody has to realize how to embrace who they are and let that show up. And that's what we try to do at Premier Actors Network.
Is there a way an actor can like work on that improv and focus on bringing themselves? Like, is there an exercise that you think they can do in their day-to-day life? Or is it just kind of like normal improv classes you think is like the key? You know,
I think it's all a combination, man. I think every day is an improv, right? You know, I got over here, I didn't know what was going to happen. I had to just deal with whatever comes, right? I love the dogs, by the way. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think life is the teacher. It's the greatest teacher, you know? And I think that, again, it goes back to what I said earlier, having experiences, being on this journey. You know, I tell people, instead of going right today, go left, see what happens. Go over here and explore and try this. I remember one night we were at a dinner, and we were going to a dinner, and we couldn't get in for some reason, and the girl I was dating at the time, we were driving down the street, and I looked over, and it was a bunch of people at this center down on Peachtree. It's the High Museum or whatever, something like that, right? So we looked, I said, let's pull over and see if we can get in. And we had on jeans and regular clothes, and we walked in there, and they let us in. We had hors d'oeuvres and everything. We was having champagne. We just kind of walked in and just see what can happen. And then we looked a couple weeks later. It was, I think, some guy that runs the orchestra. It was an event for him. So we just did. We just tried something. I mean, I'm not saying trespass. You know what I'm saying? But you got to just have different experiences, you know, and just be around different things. Because I think if you do the same thing day in, day out, kind of gets boring. Life gets mundane.
Yeah,
you know.
Man.
So and that's to me, that's improv. I think, you know, Sandra Rhimes has a book called The Year of Yes. And in improv, you know, I always say yes, and is important. So I think in life, when you yes and life, it gives you so much more than you can imagine.
That's good, bro. Yeah. That's really, really good. I love that so much. And I think that it's funny that you talked about stopping off at like the High Museum, because I was like, an easy way, like, because I'm always like, how can we like just implement this quick, you know? And I was like, oh, like drive home differently.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's just like kind of almost the same thing. Drive home, oh, what's going on over there? And
Right,
like, there
walk
you are.
in, right.
And you just never know what could happen. So can you talk more about the different things that you do? I'm sure there's at moments like imposter syndrome that comes up.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
how do you get past that? How do you get past the, you know, well, I don't necessarily know all the ways to do this, but I'm gonna figure out the parachute after jumping out of the
There you go.
plane, kind of.
Yeah. It's on the job training. I did 2 seasons of a show called Raising Dion as an acting coach for Netflix, and I had never had that experience. And then this was a day in, day out job where you had to be there at a certain time. It was a lot of work, and I got to work with some amazing kids. Josiah Young was the lead of the show, and it was a different challenge for me because I had never really worked with kids at that capacity for as long. We did 2 seasons on that show, and when I tell you, I just learned so much from. While I was there to help teach and coach him, I was learning at the same time.
Right.
You know, I had to have meetings with all the department heads about how to move forward for certain days because it was a lot of. This was a kid who was like 6 or 7 or 8 at the time. He's the lead of a show. You know, so that was a challenge for him, and I had to figure out how to support. I think if you walk with that mindset of how can I support always, you'll learn some pretty amazing things, but you'll also figure out where you belong. And that imposter syndrome does show up. You know, you question like, am I really good at this? Am I, you know? And you have to be your own biggest cheerleader, like we talked about earlier, man. You got to go home sometimes to get that fuel from your people back home that says, hey, man, we see you, keep pushing, we're proud of you, and bring that back down to Atlanta, ready to grind.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. What did you feel like was the difference between the, you know, being an acting coach at your studio and then going on to Raising Dion? Like, you know, essentially same thing is happening, right? But I'm sure major differences. And so could you talk about those? Yeah,
you know, I one of my students was the nephew of Charles King. Charles King is a big, powerful producer in Hollywood. He has a company called Macro, and he reached out to me about working on this set, and immediately I was like, oh, this is a huge undertaking, and I don't know if I can, you know, it was Michael B. Jordan's show at the time, and you know, he's one of the hottest actors out right now, so I wanted to make sure that I went in there and made a good impression and did what I needed to do. But just walking over there and just meeting everybody for the first time was a bit overwhelming. And then I had to realize that, okay, this is a different arm of what we offer at Premier Actors Network. And I have an incredible staff over there. Tondi Hayden has been my partner over there for the past 17, 18 years. I couldn't do it without her. So she keeps everything in order so I can go and focus on things when I need to focus on. And so I would get calls from, you know, Rest Her Soul, Jackie Birch. I love Jackie. She's amazing. She would call me for different things, the table reads and, you know, stuff like that. So I was always able to kind of branch off and do that thing and come back and classes being ran. I have incredible instructors over there. Yeah.
I mean, just kind of, it sounds so much, you know, I just want to like highlight it even more. You talk about the like, you know, saying yes in life, you know, and it's like all these things that you're saying yes to that lead to these other things, that lead to these other experiences, that lead to you growing in a big way, which enables you to, you know, be able to serve even better.
Right. You know, you never know what you can do until you try it, you know, and I think that a lot of us, we talk ourselves out of things before we even give it a shot. You know, I can't tell you how many times I had to tell people, just give it a shot, just see. And then I'm so glad you told me because look. Yeah, because you said yes.
Right.
You know, the universe is trying to guide you sometimes. Sometimes you got to take the hands off the wheel and let the universe guide us into the space we need to be in. Now, I think Oprah called it her personal GPS system. I like that because you know when something feels like a yes and when it feels like a no. And you got to listen to that, right? You know, I've had times when I said something told me not to do it and I did it anyway and it wasn't a thing for me. And that's when I started to realize that I can't say no to things, you know, and I don't, just because I'm acting, I mean, I have to do everything, you know. And I think that when I felt yes, or when the initial thing was yes, I always trusted that.
Do you think there's a point in the actor journey? Because obviously you're in a very different place than, you know, maybe a new student at a school at Get Scene or yours or something, right? So like at what point do you think that, you know, you need to say yes, right? But then where the no comes in is also powerful. I've had multiple conversations, you know, right here in this room about the power of yes, but then sometimes also the power of no. Can you talk about like when that became relevant in your career?
Yeah, it's the integrity, the power of integrity, and just making sure that I don't do anything that I'm going to be ashamed of, going to hurt anybody in any way, shape, or form. I'm always trying to make sure that I make choices that I'm going to be proud of 10, 15, 20 years from now. And it's been a big thing for me to be a champion of people who are less fortunate, and I never want to make anyone feel bad or make fun of anybody that's less fortunate. So I've always been mindful of the projects that I join and be a part of. But also, I think starting out, you have to do these short films, independent films, student films. I used to work for pizza. You know what I'm saying? So when I first started out, whatever you had to do, you figured it out. But and it's work out there that I've done years ago that I can still say I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm proud of it, But I think when it's a yes and a no. But I think that anything that sacrifices your integrity, anything that you don't want, you wouldn't be proud of, you got to kind of question it. And have a good base of people around you. They can tell you, no, I don't think you probably should. It's probably not. Think about this. That's one thing Tani's been for me. She's always she'll give me that voice of reason when I need it. Because sometimes I'm not thinking clear. I was like, oh, she said, you sure you want to do that? And this, and I was like, well, I guess you got it right. Yeah, got a point. So
I like that you brought up the people around you, because I think that is something that we don't put a lot of attention into. Like, you happen to be surrounded by different people in your life, like family and different friends and stuff. But I think there really is a power and an importance of evaluating it and like understand, is it like lifting you up, or is it kind of, bringing you down in some way?
Yeah.
And not just like, well, I've known them for a long time. I don't know if you have felt this way, but one of the struggles I feel like in getting older is like, your friend groups change and, people grow in different directions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so like having that evaluation of your friend group and really understanding, are they kind of helping or hurting the ultimate goal of what it is you're doing and going after?
And I'll say this too, two things. Sometimes your family can be a hindrance, and it's just because they want the best for you a lot of times, and they just don't see what you see.
Yes.
So I get that part. They want you to get a job and this, and you should have some way to take care of yourself. But your dream is not for them; it's your dream. So you have to say, I appreciate that in a caring, loving way, because they're trying to protect you. But I see it a little different. Another thing is making sure that you're not the hottest person in your circle, meaning you got to have people in your circle that inspire you to be greater.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I started to see. I got the opportunity to be around the Will Packers early, and I was inspired of him and Rob Hardy, how they were doing things and how they were moving. So I got to be around that, and I've been placed in situations where I saw how they get up and work hard and grind and figure it out. And it inspired me. It inspired me to keep going at a time when I didn't realize what it took to become successful.
You talk about those big names, and I hear like George Pierre talk about, you talk about them
my
too.
guy. We came up together.
But one of the things that I was thinking of in kind of like knowing you, I'm like, I'm not surprised that you linked up with them and you're tight with them, because when I think of you, I'm just like, Dwayne is always chill, always like, you're never like feeling thirsty. You're just good energy all the time. Like, I've never seen you not like just a good dude. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that something you've had to cultivate? Like, because I feel like you could be around a big producer and then, oh shit, I gotta network really good here. You know what I mean? Like, is that something you've had to cultivate, or it's just come naturally to you?
Yeah, I never want to be that guy. I mean, I think that in starting out as a business, you think, because we're taught that, you got to network and this, anytime you get in front of this person, you got to do this. And I said, you know what? Why not just be a person? And if the conversation comes up, anything like that, let it. But I always try to approach it as, we're human beings. Let's have a natural conversation about anything and just talk and just, And I think that it took the pressure off me trying to have to be somebody I'm not, and let me just be that person that I know that I've lived with all my life, because now I don't have that pressure of trying to impress this person. And I met Will and Rob in the barbershop where they would come where he used to cut hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they would come in the barbershop, and one of the other barbers was like, hey, he's an actor. Y'all should put him in something. You know what I'm saying? So, that's how the conversation got started. But those are just personal friends, and I've always been able to navigate life and just be that kind of person and just, because I would say my father, he's just a good dude. My father is an amazing person. So I got to see somebody be genuine without having any agenda, and I think that if you carry that over in life, people will see it and you'll thrive in that way, because as long as you take care of people, I'm in the business of people, taking care of people. If you do that, you'll be okay, because they'll lift you up when you're down.
Is there anything that comes in your mind, like in those moments? Because I think everything you're saying sounds good, right? Like, I think we're all like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. But now, fast forward, we're at this party or we're on set, and now the moment is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like then there's like maybe an anxiousness or like, all right, don't overdo it. Just be yourself. Like you get in your head so much.
We all
like,
had those moments.
Is there like a do you have advice at that moment?
I think that when that kind of stuff happens, you do what you do, and then you're like, oh, why did I say that? Or why did I do that? You might be sleeping 2 o'clock in the morning. Why did I say that? And thinking about what you said or whatever. But you made a decision in the moment, and you got to live with that. And if it was a good or bad decision, you made it. So forget about it, move on. But yeah, we've all had those moments that we like to take back, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why did I say that? Or why did I do that? So. But I think that's just part of living, man. And you can laugh about it now, but back then it wasn't funny.
For sure,
Right.
Diving into your actor journey a little bit, can you talk about like one of your favorite projects that you've been a part of?
Man,
Like
so
when I
many,
say
man.
favorite, I kind of mean like a meaningful one, because when I think of like you like coaching on Raising Dion, it's like,
Right.
that could be it
Oh, that was
possibly.
amazing.
You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? But like, is there like one project that like sticks out, or maybe a couple of them for different reasons that stick out to you, and how come?
Well, it's so many, man. I think that every project has this unique thing that
it does.
worked for you. But I did this movie. It was a movie called Hangman, and Al Pacino was in it.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Godfather fan. Like, I'm a big gangster movie fan, like Goodfellas, all that stuff. But Godfather, man, that's like one of the greatest movies ever made, right? And here he is standing maybe 10 feet away from me, and I'm just blown away. Like, wow, I'm standing next to Michael Corleone, So those moments like that, man, are surreal. And I got to work with Nicolas Cage for a few days on set, and I'm sitting with him playing his cop buddy in the film. And I used to watch this guy on Con Air in the night. That was my, so I'm sitting
and Face Off,
right. And we're doing we're doing
Yeah.
a movie, then and he's sitting there talking to me, and I'm like watching him like I'm on TV watching him. I was let me catch myself. This is him. This is happening for real. So yeah, it's so many moments like that, man, and just being around the business and just good energy and good people, man. So yeah, I think it's so many. It's hard to pinpoint just one.
Sure.
And there's some moments you like to take back, like being on the set of Hunger Games. It was so hot in that movie. You know what I'm saying? We had this costume on, and it's 103 degrees out. Those are moments like you just don't pass out, don't pass out. So you got to take the good and the bad with everything. And people forget that this is really a job. And you're gonna have days when you feel like it, days when you don't feel like it, days when you're sick, days when you're 100%. So you got to just take it all. It's all a part of that journey, man. So I've been so grateful to just be still around doing this. I've been acting for 26 years now. Yeah, 26 years, man. I started in 99. Yeah.
I quickly want to say thank you so much for listening to the Get Scene Unscripted podcast. We are in our 3rd year of bringing you one of the best film industry podcasts, bringing in casting directors, agents, working actors, stunt people, and more. And with our 3rd year and 2 shows, what if I was to tell you a 3rd show is on the way? That's right. A brand new one is coming your way. One like you've never seen it before. So if you haven't already followed and subscribed, make sure to do that, because you don't want to miss what's coming soon. Can you talk about a difference in how you approach going on set from like credit 5 to credit 75,
Right. I think, and you can get a bit jaded. It's easy to get jaded in this business because you do it so much, and when you're able to do it so much, thankfully. But I think the first project, you're nervous, you want to do everything right, you want to get this, you want to make sure. But now you prepare different, right? You have a process. So if I know tomorrow's my day, I'm at home, I'm resting, I'm not out kicking and hanging out, I'm drinking water, hydrating, I'm going over lines, and making sure I'm prepared for tomorrow, making my choices. So when I get to set 30 minutes early, because I'm not going to get there on time, because you have to, if you're on time in Atlanta, you're going to be late. It's that traffic.
Yeah, right.
So I tell people all the time, be prepared to be there an hour before. So I try to make sure that I have my clothes, everything I need the night before. So my preparation is different. It's like preparing for a game. It's game day. So if you and my athletes out there, they know game day is different. Like when I was in the military, everything we did was to train for the real thing. Now, I never got deployed, but we were always ready to go. So I treat it the same way. I run my classes very military structured. So, yeah, I'm grateful for being in the military, because it showed me how to be a leader, but also how to have that discipline, how to motivate others, and how to be structured.
Can you talk about the discipline within the actor journey and how we should be applying it to our actor journey?
Absolutely, because you have to be a self-motivator in this business. Nobody's going to come and get you off your couch to go work on a project.
Yeah.
You have to do everything you can. I tell people all the time, if you're not in classes, you should be on set. If you're not on set, you should be in classes somewhere. Always working that muscle. And I think, too, just making sure we stay current with the business trends. Like if you're not following certain blogs that are talking about the AI stuff that's happening, or these new studio deals and everything else, and we have to be mindful of everything that's going on in our business, because it changes so much, and you have to be ahead of the trends and the curves.
You bring up the AI thing. What are your thoughts on AI. Like there's, it's very Jekyll and Hyde, I feel like, is the thought process right now. I mean, I think it, is probably clear that AI is not going anywhere.
No.
What mindset do you think we should have when it comes to looking at AI and obviously wanting to be careful that it's not, I mean, it's going to take some jobs. I mean, we just got to face the facts, I think. But, but be smart and like making sure it doesn't, fight for certain things and then embrace other areas. Like, what are your thoughts?
And I think that you said the key word, embrace, man. It's not going anywhere. I mean, it's made our day-to-day life flow so much easier. And it's going to do the same for our business. And it is we were all a bit afraid when we saw that. Immediately thought, oh, jobs are gone. But I don't think you can ever take the human soul out of the equation, And I think that there's certain things that you and I do and other actors are going to do that's going to always stand the test of time. And AI is going to get better, but I don't think you can ever walk away and say, you know what, I just watched something that was so convincing. I believe that was human. We just know when we see us. So I think that you have to embrace it for the workflow of things, and it's going to probably take some jobs away, but it's also going to create some other opportunities. Going to make 100%. Some people a lot more self-sufficient and a lot more self-starter and ready to go.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast yet, but if I did, sorry, I'm telling everyone again. Okay. I haven't told Dwayne, but I hosted the Atlanta International AI Film Festival. Okay. Their first one.
Wow.
And they... And so I was like, oh, cool. Like I do a lot of host stuff and this will be fun. I'm kind of interested to see what this looks like. And I spoke with somebody that was there and he was like an accountant or something, but he comes up to me and he's like, hey, like, what are you, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I'm actually hosting the event. And he's like, oh, cool. I'm like, do you have a movie here or whatever? And he's like, no, I'm just here to like check it out. He gives me his card and he's like, he starts telling me a story, and his story was like, I had this dream of writing a children's book for a long time. He's like, I finally did. He's like, and now with AI, the character that I've always had in my imagination, I can now bring to life.
Beautiful.
And I was like, wow, everyone's so upset about this AI stuff. I was like, but this man now gets to be an artist for the first time in his life, and I saw him light up.
Wow.
And I was like, it's a different kind of artistry, I think, is like what, I mean, they got the term AI slop. I think there's AI slop too, right?
Right.
But I also think it's a way for people to become artists that weren't artists or didn't know how. Now they can. Now they can create just like we create.
It's all about mindset, man. If you have that mindset approach that being afraid of something is fearful, it's going to take my job and this and that, that's exactly what it's going to do. But if you have the mindset of how can I learn this and work with this and make this become a tool that I can use like you've done and I've done, you'll win.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think, I think there'll be like a new form of entertainment of like just AI, right? And some people will like it, some people won't. I saw this other thing that was like, it was AI videos, but it was, it was like them like getting ready to kiss or getting ready to get hit by a train or something like that. And they were like, it was really cool. They were like, as you're watching this video, nothing is happening inside because I'm fake. And it just goes to the human element of what you're talking about. I'm like, I do think there's like some truth to that. Like those moments when you're like, oh shit, if it's AI, we're going to be like, it's just an AI video.
When the soul's there and it's not, what I'm saying? You just feel it, man. But it's just fun. This was all fun, Why not have fun with it? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm starting to do. So
what are you how are you using AI right now?
Oh, man,
or like what's like something you're trying to figure out maybe right now?
I definitely want to start using it more because right now we're working on a project. I'm working with a director named Coke Danes. I'm producing. He's directing and wrote it. And we're doing this project called Atlanta's Not a Real Place. So I'm excited about getting that moving. And we're going to use some elements in that. I think, you kind of have to, and I think that now that, because it helps with the overall budget, man. And, Hollywood right now is really about these budgets, right? They're not spending the money like they used to spend.
The DiCaprio movie's losing $100 million.
You know what I'm talking about?
So
we got to figure it out. But I think that this is going to allow us to have some more freedom and flexibility to be able to do the things that we know we can do and tell the stories we need to tell without breaking the bank so much.
Right. I think one of the most magical things, and it might still be another 3, 4, 5 years, but I feel like, there's this moment, when you're like, God, I want to lead the Marvel movie, right? And you're hoping so hard that you get an opportunity and that then you actually have to then get it. It's like, we actually could just go create that ourselves. And like that dream can come true now like that.
Thank you. Just like that. You're right. Because, this is a bunch of green screen. So why not you put yourself in a superhero film and make yourself the superhero?
Right.
Why not? Do a short film, do a series now. You have an audience waiting on you. You have an audience. They just don't know you exist because you hadn't done anything yet.
You got to, and you have the ability now to you still have to learn it, right? You still need other people like on board. You can't do it completely solo, I don't think, you know. But yeah, like you have the ability now.
Yeah, man, like never before.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can create. Like that's the thing is that it actually allows us to be more creative if you do embrace it. I think.
Man, I think that's the sky's the limit now, man. There's no excuse. You can tell whatever story you want to tell. You could be on Mars to sitting on Mars on a rock, you know, if you want to, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
let's do it. Yeah,
well, Dwayne, man, I've always had so much respect for you, dude. Again, just like you, from creating projects early, starting the studio early, you've always been doing other things, and I've always noticed it and seen it, man. And you're inspiring, and I really respect you, bro.
I appreciate it.
So we got to get to 5 questions to end strong, which is our spotlight sign off.
Okay.
So question number 1 is, what's something you're super grateful for today?
Something I'm super grateful today is just the support from my family. You know, I had one of those families that they didn't tell me what I had to do. As long as I didn't get in trouble, I was good, you know, but they've been really supportive. My father tells me all the time, George Boyd is his name. He tells me all the time, he says, you got to sit me down and show me how you did this, because I don't understand how you did it. I said, well, you showed me in your way, you know, so I'm grateful for just conversation with him day to day. And my mother, she passed away, but she taught me a lot of things in her own way. So I think that I'm grateful for my family.
Heck yeah, man. Question 2 is, what is a film, television show, or book that changed the trajectory of your life?
Oh, man. There's a lot of those. I think recently, me and my buddy James McCrae, we're big fans of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. That's one of my favorite films. And I love how they infused fashion and art and class with comedy. You know, and it's such a Michael Caine. If you hadn't seen it, it's a great film. 1987, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Michael Caine and Steve Martin and Glenn Headley. One of my favorite films. We quote that movie all the time. Me and him, we were always on the phone talking and laughing about it. But yeah, that movie, it made me look at, I want to go to French Riviera now because of that movie, but it made me look at fashion and film and how it can all be integrated in a unique way and tell a unique story. And it's just amazing to see it come together like that. So I'm always looking at the aesthetics of everything now. Yeah.
What's something in your daily routine you really cherish?
My 5 o'clock wake up. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It gives me time to just be alone. You know, the dogs don't want to go out yet. Nobody's calling or texting or nothing. Yeah. I get to just be for a minute, and I can either write for an hour, or I can get up and maybe DJ because I started DJing over the strike. When we had the actor strike, I had to pick up a new skill, new craft. You know, so I started DJing. I get to go DJ for an hour, uninterrupted. So yeah, I like that 5 o'clock morning routine.
5 a.m. DJ set.
5 a.m. Yeah, well, I'll DJ about 7.
Okay,
so I get up at 5. I'm up at 5 though. So yeah.
What time you go to sleep?
About 10 o'clock, 10 or 8, sometimes 11 or 12, depending, but I still make myself get up. But I have to get that nap. You got to get that nap, midday nap, right?
All right. It's funny. I went back and forth reading the wake up at 5 a.m. books, and yeah, I would wake up at 5, then I would do the nap, but then I was like, well, why? If I'm doing the nap, then maybe I should just sleep longer. So the
reason was just tell, right?
Yeah. So right now I'm trying to. I just focus. I think like sleep is healing.
Oh,
you know.
So
I'm like, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take the sleep that I need to make sure my body's feeling right and feeling strong.
Right.
But yeah, bro, there's something about 5 a.m. Because there's nothing can distract you. Nothing can get
nobody's up. But see, here's the thing too. I only do this for a certain time. I do it in the fall. Like fall is when I do that, right? Fall, like I don't do it in the summertime. I'm laying in bed a lot longer. So it's hot. You know what I'm saying? People, our business kind of shuts down in the summer, right? Because everybody's on vacation. So I get to have a vacation from that. You know, I don't do it all the time. But learning from the military, that was a thing they used to say. We do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day. So I always adopted that.
I do like that.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're right. If you're getting up at 5 a.m.,
yeah, man,
you're doing more than most of the world. But yeah, for sure. What is something that you're trying to improve in your life right now?
Stop worrying. You know, I think that we are a society of warriors, and a lot of times we create things that that never happen. It's always worse in our mind, right?
Yes.
You know, I have to tell myself that I need to bring myself back to the present moment, which is important. That's where life happens. But I'm projecting myself to a future that hasn't even come yet. And then when I get there, it's never as bad as I thought it was. Never. Right? So I think that, just stop worrying so much. You know, it's going to be all right. You know, you've made it this far. Give yourself a pat on the back and keep pushing.
I love so much that you brought that up, man, because, we so often create a reality that doesn't exist. And then that fuels and kind of leads the current life that you're living.
Absolutely.
And it's like, what you made that up
Now,
over here.
Now you're anxious and worried and stressed out, and you go into your audition all worked up, you know.
Yeah, man.
You know, so yeah,
That's good. That's
yeah,
good.
Man.
How are you? I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit more, but it's gonna help everyone. So then, what exactly? It's great to stop worrying. You described it, and I think everyone at some point has done exactly that. So how are you like holding yourself accountable to grow that, to stop worrying, to stop telling yourself those false narratives, and then like letting it fuel you in a negative way?
I have a series of things I do. I read books. I do audiobooks in the car. Meditate. I've been taking some time to meditate. I work out. Working out is a form of meditation for me. It makes you feel empowered when you walk out of from the gym. And also, I have this thing right next to my bathroom in the morning. I wake up in the morning and while I'm brushing my teeth, I'm reciting these things. You know what I'm saying? And so it's telling me things to start my day off and put myself in the right mindset. Yes, affirmation, the right mindset. So I go through the day knowing that this is what I need. This is what I need to think about. You know, and then I repeat them in my mind sometimes when I'm having a little meltdown or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I never really get rattled too much because I can talk myself out of it, but it's easy to get there, you know what I'm saying? So
what's one of the things on your mirror right now?
One of the things up there that I can remember right off it, it's really about taking care of others, taking care of people that are less fortunate. And I try to remember that, you know, everybody's fighting a personal battle you know nothing about. And even when people have bad days, you know, they can come at you a certain way, and I have to realize, I was like, okay, maybe they had a rough, maybe something's going on at home. Let me look at this from a different standpoint. Let me not get into attack mode myself. Let me see if I can support. And people normally, when you talk to them like that, they appreciate it. It calms them down.
Yep.
So yeah, I always try to just take care of others as much as I can.
The remembering that you don't know what other people are going through, man, that is just so key.
Man, it is
so key.
It is. It really is.
I also try to do my best to like give someone the benefit of the doubt in the sense of just like, you just don't know, man.
Well, you can save your life or their life. You know what I'm saying? There's so much going on in the world right now. You don't know when somebody's at wit's end. So you have to have compassion for others right now.
Yep.
Grace. Yeah.
Last question, Dwayne. If you wanted the listeners to make sure to get one thing for sure, a takeaway from here, whether it's something we've talked about, and we really, I think we set the record for the amount of time and the topics we've gone over.
Good. Okay.
But something that we've already discussed, or maybe something that we missed. If you wanted them to get this aha, what would it be?
You know, have fun, man. This is not a test. This life is, you're here to experience life. Why not enjoy it? You know, we even make our jobs a test, like the acting business become this stressful thing. It doesn't have to be that way. Have fun, enjoy it, man, because you're only here for a limited time. I think we've seen in the last few years more than ever that you better cherish and appreciate every single day. I try to laugh and have a party every day. If I can wake up like that, if I can go to bed laughing and wake up laughing, I'm good.
I love it. I love it. Dwayne Boyd,
hey, man,
bro,
Jesse,
you are awesome, bro. Thank you
brother.
so much for being here, man. It's been such a pleasure to work alongside you, know you, and be inspired by you, man.
Well, thanks for having me, man. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Get seen, you're doing your thing. I'm beyond proud of you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.